So now we have a coronation and King Charles III. Well, this is my view on the royal family. I've mentioned it before, but I wanted to go on a little bit longer about it. Yawn, boredom. Get to the music, JK. I know I can hear you, everything you say. But I just wanted to explain a little bit more. Why do I think democracy no longer works? Well, it's like everything. The police force, when it started, was brilliant, great idea, worked incredibly well. And as it goes on, it grows and grows and grows, and then all the problems start coming in. It's the same with any big company. It's the same with the system of the law at the moment. It's the same with almost every aspect of society. A lot of things start small. The internet, prime example. And then as they grow, they more and more develop into something that is run generally, the small details are run generally by incompetent people, average people who are not too bad at doing boring, silly, simple things like working behind a counter in a shop and so on. But can you imagine the nightmare that happened when computers came in, and instead of going ping on the tills, an entire generation had to learn how to work things that were computerized. And now, of course, you don't have people on tills anymore. It's all these stupid do-it-yourself things, which I can't master personally. This is what happens. This is the way the world develops. It's the same with medicines, for example. They can be just brilliant at stopping some sort of illness or disease. And then slowly, as people develop, things like viruses and germs and so on adapt to cope with the medicines, and the medicines aren't changed and become less effective, and then people get worse and so on and so forth. It is just the way that everything develops. And I'm afraid I think democracy has developed exactly that way. And that because the media has become so powerful, we're in the media, by the way, I'm criticizing us as well as them. When the media has developed, that all that now happens is we vote, most of us, on the image that's presented to us. And all politicians know this, so they all speak in platitudes that they know will get votes and that are democratically popular. They all look as good as they can. Their hair is perfectly cut and their teeth are perfectly shaped, and all the rest of it. And what actually matters, are they any bloody good, doesn't matter to most voters anymore. So voters no longer for people who are good at doing what they're meant to be doing if they get elected as MPs or ministers or whatever, but instead vote on the image that the media has created. Don't think I'm blaming the media for everything, by the way. Like religions, the media has got an awful lot of good things about it. And that's the other point I would make about religions. But I think I'll do that in a moment. I promised you earlier that I would talk about religions. I've done that in past episodes of A Victim Bites Back too, but this is appropriate because I was talking about how democracy has collapsed, and democracy therefore is no longer much use in governing society or a society. We're better off, in my opinion, with a benign autocracy that actually is only dependent on its existence for a few years, cannot or does not get not elected but reselected, and there have to be changes every few years, and therefore they remain straight and honest and honourable, which I think tends to happen with the older people. That's why I was quite a fan of Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell, who I thought were older, I think they're my generation, and had had the life experience and no longer had the ambition for themselves personally. You know, at my age you just don't need the things you think you need when you're younger, I like people like that, because I think at least they're, even if I disagree with them, which I did by the way on nearly all Corbyn and McDonnell's policies, but I thought they were decent, honest, honourable men, and we would have been not in the terrible mess we're in at the moment if they'd been in charge. But moving on from there, that's the problem with democracy, and we're much better off having somebody up at the top there who warrants being there and is good at doing what they're needed to be good at doing. Anyway, as I said, it's a bit the same with religion. And for me, when religion started, they were really, really good ideas. They gave the majority of people a moral code to follow, which in general was a very sensible moral code, i.e. be kind to others, be decent, be human, be nice, look after other people as well as yourself, don't be selfish all the time, keep an open mind. All of these things were in religion, and of course religion had to be phrased for the media of the day, and now by the way, in simplistic terms, because most people, let's face it, are almost morons. You know, most people, all of you watching now, the majority have got no brain cells working at all. They can only cope with 3-word tabloid headlines. That's how their thinking goes. Even in life, I love you or I no longer love you. That's about it. You know, I'm happy or I'm not happy. I'll do the job. I got money. I haven't got money. Or usually, I haven't got enough money. Give me more money. And that's about all human beings are capable of doing and thinking. But the small majority who've got a bit of brains, like me, are actually better at guiding the way society is run. And I think it's quite important to remember that. In religion, the same thing has happened by giving people an idea of God or gods, and Jesus, or this is Jesus, by the way. You notice Jesus with his little crown on my sweatshirt I wear, not for any Christian reasons, just because I think it's an amusing sweatshirt. But yes, that is my feeling on religions. There's an awful lot of really good things about religion. And of course, as a result, we're going to get some bad things too. The persecuting homosexuals thing, which is stupid, but obviously clearly based on the very correct philosophy in the early days of those religions. And most religions condemn homosexuality, in that the religions wanted to increase their number. And of course, you can't increase your number if you're gay, because you tend, although this is not fashionable to say it, you tend not to be able to give birth if you're a man. So therefore it was much better to have heterosexuality encouraged than homosexuality, which tended not to produce children. Although I have to tell you, many of my friends, including Sir Elton John, would deny that and say gay people are perfectly able to produce children these days, and indeed that is the fact, they are. And that's one of the reasons why condemning homosexuality is no longer appropriate. Anyway, rant over.
And when he told me that he didn't love me, I cried. Now John, if you're listening, you've known me for some time. You know I'm not the kind of girl who's given to crying, but I've gotta tell you that when you told me that you didn't love me,
So how would it work? Well, quite easily actually, not much would change. The monarch would be in charge of selecting the Prime Minister, be it a member of their family or the leader of one of the political parties or a businessman or whatever, but there'd still be a general election, and whichever party won the general election would be the one that most of the ministers should be chosen from, although ministers could be chosen from all parties, underneath the Prime Minister, who had no allegiance to any party. I thought the whole coronation went very well, even though I was rather annoyed by the media coverage. Prince Andrew, who is now only described as the disgraced Prince Andrew, when he's not disgraced at all. He's a victim of false allegations. Unless something is proved in court that you're guilty, you are innocent. These days everything has changed, and the way they treat Prince Harry has been appalling. Anyway, the concert went on very well as well, and one of the stars, Lionel Richie, I once covered one of his great songs, recorded originally when he was with the Commodores. The song's called Just to Be Close to You.
Just to be close to you, girl, just for a moment, just for an hour, just to be close to you, girl, just to hold you, just to dance with you. Our lives together, together, together. Just to be close to you, girl, just for a moment, just for an hour, just to be close to you, girl, just to hold you, just to dance with you, to make love, to be loved by you, baby, to have your warm body close to mine, to whisper words that make you feel like a woman. Girl, I know our love will stand the test of time. Just to be close to you, girl, just for a moment, baby, just for an hour, girl, just to be close to you, girl, just to hold you, just to dance with you. It only takes a minute, baby, just to be close to you, girl, just for a moment, just for a moment, just for an hour, just for an hour, just to be close to you, girl, just to hold you, just to dance with you, just to move with you, girl, just to be close, just to be close to you, girl, just for a moment, just for an hour.
This week's movie is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's not really my sort of movie, those kinds of superhero films, but I went to the first one and loved it. The main reason I went to it is because two of my songs were involved in it and were on the soundtrack, which sold incredibly well. The sad part is the one that really did fantastically and actually became the music of the trailer for the film, and is even the caption on this new film says feeling, was my version of Hooked on a Feeling, except they used the cover version by a Swedish group called Blue Swede, who actually recorded theirs a couple of years after I recorded mine, and had the decency to contact me and ask my permission, and I said, yeah, sure, thinking, well, number one in Sweden only does 3,000 copies or whatever, why not? And mine had not been a hit in Sweden, although it was a hit in a lot of other places and did sell quite a few. The reason was, when I first heard it, it was a sort of country and western song. It was recorded by B.J. Thomas, written by Mark James, and it went, I'm hooked on a feeling, with a sort of sitar going, wham, 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 wham. And I thought, this is a pop hit, and converted it by creating this sort of grunting male reggae rhythm to start it with. Ooga jagga, ooga, ooga, ooga jagga, ooga, ooga. I'm sorry, by the way, if regular watchers to A Victim Bites Back recollect having heard this before. Anyway, since it wasn't my song, I'd only arranged it, I never made a penny from the Blue Swede version. However, luckily, another song they used in the film was 10cc's I'm Not in Love, for which I was getting a hefty royalty. So as a result, I did end up making quite a lot from the movie soundtrack. When I went to see it, I actually loved it. I thought the tree, the walking, talking tree, was brilliant, and it was very funny. And as a result, I enjoyed the movie, despite thinking I wouldn't. So for that reason, I'm going to Volume 3 today.
Ooga chaka ooga 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 chaka ooga 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 chaka ooga 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 chaka ooga ooga. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me when you hold me in your arms so tight. You let me know everything's alright. What kind of feeling? High on believing that you're in love with me. Lips are sweet as candy, the taste stays on my mind. Girl, you keep me thirsty for another cup of wine. I've got it bad for you, girl, but I don't need a cure. I'll just stay addicted and hope I can endure all the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl, yeah, you turn me on. What kind of feeling? I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. All the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl, yeah, you turn me on. What kind of feeling? I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. What kind of feeling? High on believing that you're in love with me. What kind of feeling? I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
Well, I'm afraid I didn't understand Guardians of the Galaxy number 3 at all. I sort of slightly understood 2 and loved 1, But this time it was just beyond me. All I could really understand was I am Groot, and I only understood that because I am Groot popped up in shows 1 and 2. Other than that, I think I'm getting too old. I'm getting deaf, and I can't really stand the 3D glasses I have to put on. No, not for me at all. Some good music in there and some brilliant special effects, but after a bit you begin to get the feeling that the special effects are all the movie is about, and that the entire thing has been constructed on a tiny little plot and no characterization at all, possibly with the exception of Rocket, and basically it's a pointless exercise that looks spectacular, but after an hour or so begins to bore. So that's it for show 26 of A Victim Bites Back. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do like it, do make a comment, spread the word, because otherwise you feel that you're sort of talking into an abyss. So I really do appreciate your comments and your thoughts. So file them on here. And that's it for this week. See you next time round.